Well, this is probably not a video you'd expect me to make, but here we are. Wow, this isn't the granny video, buddy. Might want to take this one back to the drafts. Yeah, it's not the granny video, because I haven't reached 650,000 subscribers yet. Duh! So subscribe, come on, you know you want to do it, come on. You know you want the granny video. Anyway, Friday Night Funkin' has been such a phenomenon during the 2020s that it is genuinely hard to not at least hear some things about it from time to time. Like, I'm not even gonna bother giving you an explanation on what Friday Night Funkin' is. You already know what it is, whether you want to or not. Now, I mainly cover horror-adjacent brain rot content on this channel, so I'm genuinely kinda shocked it's taken this long for me to make a video on this game and its crazy modding scene. I say that because a very large portion of Friday Night Funkin' mods that are produced, especially now, are horror-related in some way. This was mainly kicked off by the original Sonic.exe mod that I'm sure you're aware of in some way or another. That entire sub-community is pretty notorious for a million different things that we aren't even gonna bother talking about today. Maybe some other time, but I would rather keep my sanity for a little bit longer. Then we'll talk about Sonic EXE drama. No, instead, today I get to talk about Super Mario Logan drama. Whether that's better or worse, I'll let you be the judge of that. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk about why this specific video exists. A recent trend with these horror-related Friday Night Funkin' mods has been to include a lyrical segment somewhere inside the song, accompanied by an epic animation. I could not escape this shit on Twitter for weeks. Every single time I checked it, I would see a clip of one of these mods, or someone talking about one of these mods. If you've seen anything related to this topic, it's probably the song Silly Billy from the mod Hit Single Reel, which we actually will be talking about a little bit later. That song got a lot of attention when it dropped, and rightfully so. It is an insanely high quality piece of work. Seeing all this stuff made me want to look into this trend and see where it all started, but I wasn't expecting to make a video on it or anything. However, the more I looked into this stuff, the more I realized how downright insane some of it is. Crazy enough for me to make a video on all of it. So if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what will. So strap in, folks, because today we are jumping down the endless Aethos rabbit hole to try to explain this whole mess. We'll be taking a look at an SML horror mod that caused so much drama that it literally imploded on itself, the development timeline of Silly Billy, and if it was secretly used as inspiration for this entire trend, an annoying orange mod that rode the success of the mods that came before it, and finally, TWIDDLEFINGER, the Max Design Pro mod that shifted the discourse on this trend and even directly influenced the source material it was based on. Folks, we have a lot of ground to cover today. This shit goes way deeper than I ever thought it would. Without any further delay, let's kick this video off right where it began. Jeffy's Endless Aethos. Before we get into this section fully, I first want to explain how I'm going to be covering this. Because there are a lot of controversial people involved, as well as completely innocent people, I've decided to keep every single person related to this story in particular completely anonymous. Regardless of what anybody talked about here has done, the last thing I want to do is create a hate mob or promote any type of harassment. Also, I forgot to mention the most important reason as to why I'm keeping everybody anonymous. I don't want to give certain people attention. I just don't. That's probably the main reason, so yeah, just keep that in mind and enjoy the rest of this video. Frankly, I would just like to talk about the actual mod and not discuss this shit, but you really can't do that in good faith anymore, since everything is so linked together. So I'll be talking about this entire situation to the best of my ability, but names and aliases will all be replaced with completely random ones to keep the identity of everybody hidden. Alongside that, I have been provided with a bunch of evidence on certain topics covered in this video from reliable people within the community. For their sake, I will be keeping them all anonymous as well. With that out of the way, there is one final thing I want to mention before getting into all of this. During the section specifically talking about Jeffy's Endless Aethos and all the stuff linked to it from the same mod, I will not be able to use any footage or use any of the music from the project. The main guy behind everything is apparently a very frequent abuser of the YouTube copyright system, and I would rather not deal with fighting for this video to stay up. So we're gonna have to kind of get creative for the visuals here. Apologies for that. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's get into this. SML movie Jeffy's Endless Aethos was uploaded on April 3rd of this year. It's a short, one-song mod that is heavily based on the style and look of a now popular horror project called SML Wiki. This project got a lot of attention from both the general SML fanbase as well as other horror YouTubers such as Papo. This more general attention it got from YouTubers ended up blowing up the project even more, leading to the creation of this FNF mod. The mod was spearheaded by an individual who went under an alias. Said alias had claimed to have never worked on an FNF project prior to this and served as the main composer for the project. We'll call this person Jerry Guy for simplicity. Jerry Guy was able to assemble a team of people to put together this mod in a pretty short amount of time, and it was released just before the peak of SML related content getting a ton of attention on social media.
What? I'm edging, Daddy. I'm trying to munt. Let me goon.
The thing that really blew up this project, however, was a single tweet. Around this time on Twitter, there was a trend where people would post a piece of their own artwork and pretend that they were not the artist and that they had just found it randomly. These tweets were accompanied by captions like, "Wow, this rocks, who made this?" And it typically led to these art posts getting way more attention than they normally would. A tweet in this style was made by someone on the Aethos team, and it blew up and gave the mod a ton of attention that it may have taken longer to get otherwise. This, combined with the insane popularity of the SML wiki, skyrocketed the mod into one of the most talked about things in that space, and it basically created its own little sub-community by accident. Because of the success of Jeffy's endless Aethos, the team grew even larger as they planned on updating the mod in the style of something more like Mario's Madness or Sonic EXE V2. If you don't know what I mean by that, basically, the mod was going to be a collection of barely connected SML horror songs that all had their own individual artwork and music. Things were going pretty good for the Aethos team at this point. I mean, they were essentially on top of the world. However, reach for the stars too fast, and you'll eventually fall. And that's exactly what happened here. As the project grew in both scope and popularity, more and more people began to become suspicious of Jerry Guy. I mean, this person literally came out of nowhere and was able to assemble a team and make a somewhat competent song just like that? There had to be something more going on here. Well, those who had their suspicions were absolutely on the right track, because surprise, surprise, Jerry Guy wasn't really who he said he was. Jerry Guy wasn't this underground composer who was just hiding his talents to shock the world. In reality, Jerry Guy was simply just an alias for an already established, controversial figure in the Friday Night Funkin community. We'll call Jerry Guy's actual name Pig Mango, for the sake of this video. Pig Mango was best known for working on a so, you know, normal person. It's not only that though. Pig Mango had countless Google Docs written about them, and one hell of a target on their back from racist and behavior, among other things that I don't really want to get into here. But you get the picture at this point. Pig Mango was absolutely a controversial figure, and if it was exposed that he was Jerry Fan, everything would come crumbling down. Once the rumors that Jerry Fan might be Pig Mango started to spread around, the same person who made the initial tweet that blew up Aethos fought multiple people on Twitter defending Jerry Fan and adamantly saying they were not Pig Mango. This back and forth went on for a while, as countless people would try and out Jerry Fan for being Pig Mango. But nothing concrete ever came out of it. The community was stuck in a weird spot at this point. You had countless people trying to ruin the reputation of Jerry Fan, but without any solid proof, there was nothing that could realistically be pinned on him. The community needed a hard piece of evidence that would prove once and for all that Jerry Fan was Pig Mango. And thankfully, that piece of evidence would come directly from the horse's mouth in one of the most idiotic fumbles of all time. Alright, so around this time, the team for Aethos was definitely bigger than it was when the first version of the mod originally dropped. And when you have a bigger team with more varied people, the chance that things start to leak becomes significantly higher. And so, things did begin to leak from the mod early, including multiple songs that were uploaded to SoundCloud under a random account. Pig Mango saw that things were beginning to leak over on SoundCloud and decided to make it known to people working on the project. Pig Mango, under the Jerry Fan account, sent a link to one of the SoundCloud uploads to a Discord server without much thought. This really wouldn't be that notable if it wasn't for the fact that Pig Mango forgot how sharing links through the SoundCloud mobile app works. When you share a song with a link through SoundCloud and you're logged into an account, it will say what account shared the song when someone else clicks the link. Pig Mango didn't realize this, and in an instant, Jerry Fan's identity was finally confirmed. It was there, clear as day. The account that linked the SoundCloud Aethos leaks with the Jerry Fan Discord account was in fact Pig Mango. You can probably assume what happened at that point. Total chaos. Obviously, there were completely unaware, innocent team members who were totally shocked by this, but there were also a few people who would just straight up lie and act like they were also innocent when they actually knew Jerry Fan's identity the entire time. A small chunk of the dev team was in on the entire thing, and that mixed with everything else that happened led to the cancellation of Jeffy's endless Aethos. There have been multiple attempts to revive the mod or make fan recreations, but they've either been cancelled or straight up threatened to cease production. All this drama and pressure would eventually lead to the SML wiki, the thing that indirectly started all of this, being shut down temporarily. Thankfully, as of writing this video, it's back up now with some new content, and it will hopefully stay up for good this time. It genuinely just wasn't fair that a small horror website art project got caught up in all this drama. I wish the creator the best going forward, seriously. And with that, we're finally done talking about the initial drama that started all of this. There's still one more song related to this project that I want to take a little bit of a look at later, but for now, I actually want to give my thoughts on the mod itself. I can understand why this mod got so popular when it did. It was truly a right place at the right time situation. But I'm gonna be so real, and this is with no bias here, I really don't like this mod that much. I think the concepts and ideas it was going for could be interesting with more effort or with a different team behind the wheel, but as it stands, I really just don't mess with this. Obviously, I can't show you anything I'm talking about here actually, but let me ramble on for a little bit anyway. This mod does a bunch of art style changes during the duration of the one song, which is a neat idea in theory, but it's executed super poorly. The song starts off with these intentionally crappy looking animations and drawings, which then transitions into a more serious, higher effort art style as the climax of the song is about to hit. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is pretty much everything after the first art style change. The actual animation segment with the lyrics that became so popular is drawn in a completely different art style than the other prior ones and looks really out of place in my opinion. And then the song does another art style change at the very end for the final part of the song, which does look cool, but it's just such a clash of styles for such a short song. You can do an FNF song that changes art styles in an effective way, but I really don't think this song strikes that balance. The actual song as well, I think is easily the weakest out of any of the other projects we're going to talk about in this video. And that goes for the lyrics as well. The vocals are put through like an AI Jeffy filter or something, and they sound like complete shit, which goes for most of the mixing on this song. I'm not sure if they just didn't properly finish it or something, but everything is just way too loud in the mix. Anyway, since I can't actually show you any of this, I might as well wrap up this segment of the video and move on. One more little thing I want to add on to the end of this section. If you like this mod, that's actually totally fine and cool. I just wanted to put my opinion out there for this one. But I mean, you're not bad for liking this song or whatever, or thinking it's good. You know, just my opinion. Just wanted to throw that in there. You're fine, don't worry. Like I said, we'll be back to talk about one final song from this mod that kind of got a life of its own after the cancellation of the project. But for now, I say it's time we scoot along and talk about probably the most famous FNF mod song that falls into this category. Silly Billy. Silly Billy from the mod hit single Real is by far one of the most popular Friday Night Funkin' projects to come out of the modern era of the modding scene. It, along with the update to the base game dropping almost back to back, brought a lot of people back into the community who had either left for personal reasons or grown disinterested in the game. The mix of the powerful vocal performance, easy to understand concept, and amazing animation and music led to Silly Billy reaching heights that FNF modding really hadn't seen in ages. From a personal perspective, I was super into FNF modding really early into the scene being a thing. Over the years, I fell out of touch with the modding scene and stopped caring, but Silly Billy was the thing that made me start paying attention once again. Because of all this, before doing any research into this topic for this video, I always assumed this was the song that started the entire lyric trend indirectly. Not just the idea of lyrics being in an FNF song, that shit's literally in base game. I mean the specific Aethos style lyrical animation segments. So, I was extremely shocked to find out that hit single Real's Silly Billy update was released almost a month after Jeffy's Endless Aethos. Something about that really didn't sit right with me. So I decided to dig a bit deeper, and now I have some pretty solid reasons to believe that Jeffy's Endless Aethos was directly inspired by leaked versions of Silly Billy that had been floating around in circles months before the mod actually released. A lot of this section is going to be speculation, since I can't actually 100% say that any of this is the case, but walk with me here and let me lay out what I know about this whole situation. Alright, so the song for Silly Billy was finished in October of 2023. Months and months ahead of its eventual release date in April of this year. With the song sitting around finished in a dev Discord server for that long before being released, in a community like the FNF modding community, it's no surprise that it ended up getting leaked around certain circles way before it was officially released. Out of all the people who saw this song early, it is very likely that Pig Mango is one of them, given that they apparently have a bit of a fascination with trying to rip the composing style of the main Silly Billy composer, Sturm. All of this is backed up by Sturm themselves as well, so Aethos being rushed out to beat Silly Billy to the FNF mod scene is very likely real. However, even if all of this is correct, What about the animation aspect of the lyrical segment? That is one of the staples of this trend. So if the idea for that for Aethos was done independently from Silly Billy, that would be a pretty big point in the favor of Aethos. Well, as you may have guessed, Silly Billy's animation work also had multiple leaks attached to it, most of which being related to said lyrical segment of the song. The most notable of these is actually a completely different version of the animation for the lyrics in Silly Billy. However, the main reason this version of the animation was never finished and used is because the person who was putting it together couldn't actually animate. Whoops. Anyway, while that leak was somewhat known in smaller leaking circles, a more finalized version of the animation did end up leaking as well before the mod came out. And this leak was way more widespread. If Pigmango saw any of these leaks, it was most likely this one. So I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that Pigmango may have seen both the leaked song and leaked animation and decided to try his best to beat Silly Billy to the punch. Not that it really matters anyway, since Silly Billy blew Aethos out of the water 20 times over, but that's pretty much my entire case, and the main reason I wanted to talk about Silly Billy in this video. Maybe this is correct, maybe it's incorrect, maybe a little bit of both, but that's my theory based on what I've been told by trustworthy people and my own gut. Anyway, that's all I really have to say on this topic. It's time we take one final stop on the Jeffy's Endless Aethos train and take a look at the most popular leak to come out of the mod's downfall. Shuck. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, Jeffy's Endless Aethos V2 was shaping up to be a pretty big update with a bunch of new songs being made for the project. Even when the project was still in active development, however, multiple of these songs started to leak. One of these songs that leaked ended up becoming so popular that it essentially took on a life of its own outside of Jeffy's Endless Aethos, even long after it was cancelled. The song I'm referring to is called Shuck. Shuck is directly based on an actual SML video from a while back, called The Secret Door, which I actually have very strong memories of from when I was a kid. The video uses a bunch of super cool looking fake and it freaked me the hell out when I was younger. So having a mod song based on that, rather than some random creepypasta thing, was kinda cool. I think a lot of people agreed with me on that front, because Shuck is easily the most popular thing to come out of Aethos besides the original song. For good reason too, I might add. Shuck is a significantly better put together song in pretty much all aspects compared to Jeffy's Endless Aethos. Sure, you can tell it was never finished since the mixing is a little weird, and when it got leaked it was still being worked on, but even with that in the picture, this song actually rocks. Unfortunately, I can't show you any of it, not taking any chances here, but the lyrical segment in this song is a lot more memorable than the one in Jeffy's Endless Aethos. Also, I think it's probably important to mention that apparently Shuck is a self-insert song for the lyrics by Pigmango, and the lyrics are supposed to be about the relationship between Jerry Fan and Pigmango and how they're the same face or whatever. Kind of fucking funny. Doesn't really matter, I guess. You can interpret the lyrics however you want. The song's still a banger. I just thought I should mention that. Okay, come on. Most of the visuals associated with this song now are from fan recreations, since the assets were never actually finished, but from what exists, they look pretty good. However, I think now would be a good moment to bring up something that applies to both SML songs I've talked about in this video. The awful Marvin chromatic scale. For those of you who don't know what that is, a chromatic scale is essentially a series of noises in a scale that is used to make those singing voices for characters in FNF songs. Marvin's chromatic scale in both of these songs is genuinely terrible, and I think that's because it's either taken directly from or heavily inspired by an already existing Marvin chromatic from an even earlier SML FNF mod. This chromatic 100% samples Marvin screaming in some way, and it just does not make for a very pleasing singing voice for these songs. I just needed to bring this up because it was unironically one of the first things I noticed when I heard this stuff for the first time. Anyway, Shuck is pretty goddamn good, and I hope someday somebody puts together a definitive fan-made version of it. Although if that never happens because nobody wants to touch Aethos with a 15-foot pencil, I also understand that. Trust me. Anyway, with that, we are actually done talking about the SML shit. Before we arrive at our final major topic for this video, how about we take a look at one more Aethos-inspired mod that came out in between all this shit happening. Rotten Smoothie. The Amazing Grace Rotten Smoothie released on June 23rd of this year and ended up getting pretty popular among FNF circles around its time of release. It was really the first big Aethos clone or parody to be released, and I saw a lot of people talking about it pretty much up until TWIDDLEFINGER dropped. There really isn't anything super interesting to say about it in regards to its development. Like, we don't have another Jeffy's Endless Aethos level shit show on our hands to go through here. So that's a relief. So, for this section of the video, I thought it would be fun to just talk about the actual mod for a little bit, since I actually do think this one is pretty interesting. It was released in a weird spot of the whole Aethos parody craze, where it came out right before TWIDDLEFINGER dropped, so it doesn't end up falling into a lot of the same generic traps that future parodies would end up falling into. I think a big reason for this is that this mod isn't just a random Aethos parody, and is actually directly based on another YouTube video similar to the Jeffy Amazing Grace video that helped inspire Aethos alongside the SML wiki. That video being, well, Annoying Orange, Amazing Grace, which is pretty much the same idea, but just a slightly different take on it. Like, this version of Orange doesn't have the iconic darker left side of the face trope that TWIDDLEFINGER would cement as being a staple of this parody genre. It is very much strictly based off this YouTube video. The actual structure of this mod, however, is pretty in line with what Aethos did, where the sprites start out normalish and eventually become more serious, which then leads into the animated lyrical segment and then ends on everything going crazy. I think this mod does the formula a lot better than Aethos, however. The lyrical segment has a really good animation, and the art style transitions feel a lot more intentional and well thought out. The ending part with the crazy ass shit flying everywhere feels like a supernatural progression from the stuff seen prior in the song, and I like it a lot. Overall, it's not amazing or anything, but I can respect this mod for what it is, especially since it came out before TWIDDLEFINGER would literally change this entire style of mod forever. One more thing I want to mention about this mod is that when I played it, the transition to the lyrics animation was bugged and gave me a Windows pop-up when it happened, and the timing for it was genuinely hilarious. What the fuck? I'm sure this bug is going to be fixed or has already been fixed by the time I'm making this video, but it was too funny not to share. Anyway, that's really all I have to say about this one. It's time to move on to the final major topic of this video, a take on the Aethos formula that would become so iconic that it not only created an unironic fandom for its source material by accident, but also changed the way people would see this genre of FNF mod forever. It's time we finally talk about TWIDDLEFINGER. Alright. Time for the section of the video that most of you have been probably waiting for the entire time. TWIDDLEFINGER seriously blew up in such an interesting way, and it's absolutely the most popular of these Aethos style mods if you ignore Silly Billy, which is pretty much in a league of its own at this point, and also created this entire genre by accident. So, you know. Anyway, a huge shout out to the TWIDDLEFINGER mod team for actually supplying me with a bunch of development information on this mod, and JC Jack for being the middleman to getting all this info to me. It definitely made researching for this segment a whole lot easier. So, without any further delay, let's start from the very beginning. Max Design Pro is a YouTube Shorts creator that's often labeled as a content farm. They make short animations featuring this family of monkeys that kind of don't really look like monkeys at all. These shorts started out pretty innocent in terms of the level of brain rot content featured in them, but over time, the animations on this channel have started to incorporate more memes and other content farm adjacent content, which clearly helps bring them more views. I'm really on the fence if this channel actually counts as a content farm though. Like, for the most part, this channel literally just features original characters. When it relies on other IPs for a video, it's usually as a secondary character, and there are plenty of shorts and full animations on the channel that feature no recognizable meme characters and are straight up fun little animations for kids. I genuinely see no real harm in this channel, and I always thought the weird backlash it got only a few months ago was kind of strange. On the complete opposite side of the internet over on TikTok, another meme was starting to get really popular at the beginning of this year. That being the Omega Chicken Nugget meme. This shit is actual brain rot, but I would be lying if some of the dumb shit to come out of it wasn't somewhat funny to me. This entire meme is just a bunch of food, mainly chicken nuggets, with Roblox faces plastered onto them, dancing and singing random songs. The main song that is associated with this meme is a funny sounding cover of Cotton Eye Joe. You've probably seen this shit at least once, even if it was in the context of a Max Design Pro video. Speaking of, once this meme got super popular, Max decided to feature the singing chicken nugget in one of their YouTube shorts. The videos with the chicken nuggets ended up doing super well, and even long after the Omega Chicken Nugget meme was relevant, this remained the case. Eventually, people over on Twitter started to pick up on the whole Max Design Pro chicken nugget fascination, and every single time a new video dropped, that shit would get torn to shreds. In a funny way. I really don't think any of these people actually hated Max. At the end of the day, it's all just stupid entertainment anyway. As this was all happening, the Aethos FNF trend was also blowing up at the same time. This ended up leading to a perfect storm of brain rot that gave us TWIDDLEFINGER. Alright, so a couple of people were chilling in a Discord voice call one day while this shit was all going on, and said people were just shooting the shit and making fun of Aethos. This ended up leading to a conversation about what an Aethos parody mod would look like. A couple random concepts were thrown around like Go Animate, but eventually, one of the people on the call, Gibbs, decided to doodle an Aethos parody with Max and the Chicken Nugget from Max Design Pro. Everyone thought this shit was funny as f***, and so the TWIDDLEFINGER mod team was born right then and there, in order to make this stupid shitpost become a reality. So, the team grabbed a random scrap song from another mod they worked on, and got to work finishing it and retooling it for use in the TWIDDLEFINGER mod. Progress on the mod was going pretty well, but you can't have an Aethos parody without the iconic lyrical segment. To make this part of the project a reality, the help of a community member, Wrathstatic, was enlisted in order to write the lyrics for the mod. After a few attempts, the lyrics were finalized and the song was ready to be finished. Another kind of funny detail from all this is that the lyrics were not actually written with any romantic undertone in mind, even if the song was meant to be almost like a tough love song between Max and the Nugget. The lyrics actually fit that mold really well, completely by mistake, which is an insane accident that ended up working up in the favor of both the mod and the entire joke. Eventually, the song was released under the fake alias MaxProLover988, which is a very obvious play on the whole Jerry fan thing from the Aethos situation. Only a few days after the song's official upload to YouTube, the full mod was released on July 1st. Once this finally dropped, it essentially took over the entire FNF space. You cannot escape this shit, and for good reason. The song is a banger, the visuals are genuinely great, and the entire concept is just so stupid and funny that it's hard to hate it in pretty much any way. And even though the Aethos Max design is just one big joke, it's low-key kinda cool. Like, the sprites in the song really do a fantastic job at making him look cool as well. They really are sick. And of course, the lyrical segment is just actually perfect for this one. The way it's sung really, really sticks in your brain. I've been humming and singing this stupid shit to myself for like 2 weeks straight. It's bad, guys. The brain rot's bad. Even the little things like having to smash the like button to help out the Nugget, just like in the videos, and the fact that there's both a good and bad ending make this one memorable ass mod that had a crazy impact on the scene. Suddenly, a majority of the negative attention Jeffy's Endless Aethos was getting was funneled into something significantly more positive and significantly more comedic. Those same people ironically making fun of Max Design Pro on Twitter formed into a semi-unironic fandom for the silly little videos. And overall, TWIDDLEFINGER was really just dropped at the right time when a bunch of other shit in the community was super negative. TWIDDLEFINGER would also be the mod that really cemented this type of FNF project as a category. And if that's for the best or worst, I'm not sure. There's already been a ton of TWIDDLEFINGER and Aethos parody mods in the works since it blew up. Like a Dora one, an Alvin and the Chipmunks one, a Phineas and Ferb one, a Gummy Bear one. The list actually just goes on. Hell, someone even made a Granny versus me Aethos parody song in the middle of this video being made. Like, this shit's crazy, dog. I don't know what to say. Pretty much all of them follow the same formula laid out by the mods that came before them, but at this point, everything is so drenched in irony that it's hard to genuinely hate any of this shit. And hey, if any of these future similar projects end up becoming amazing, that's just another plus in my books. I think the chance this shit becomes super stale is already creeping up pretty fast, but you might as well let people have fun before it's too late. Anyway, after all the stuff that happened, you might be wondering what Max thinks about all this. Max doesn't really communicate with his fans on a regular basis, outside of the occasional YouTube comment reply, which is almost always just because some random person gave him money in the comment section. However, Max does often use fan art in his videos, so he does pay attention to his community, at least to some extent. It should really be no surprise then, that eventually, Max would begin to take notice of TWIDDLEFINGER. With the insane amount of attention it was getting, it would be hard not to. So, shortly after TWIDDLEFINGER blew up, Max just straight up started to include him in multiple YouTube shorts. It first started out as just a wanted poster in a police office, but that quickly turned into the song being used in multiple videos, and TWIDDLEFINGER himself being inserted into the Max Design Pro lore with a slightly different design featuring a red glowing eye. For some reason, TWIDDLEFINGER in the Max Design Pro universe has been represented as both being a form of regular Max and a separate entity, so I'm not really sure what's going on there, but regardless, the fact that all this shit happened is insanely funny and really helped turn the public opinion of Max around in a positive way. I'm just glad this video gets to have a happy ending after all the other shit I talked about earlier. With that being said, I think it's time we wrap all this up. We are really entering a renaissance era for Friday Night Funkin' right now, as I have seriously not seen this game and its modding scene get this much attention in literal years. It's honestly super cool to see. For every crummy, shitty project out there, there are tons more with genuine effort being poured into them. so be on the lookout for cool shit coming from the FNF community. Maybe just stay away from the EXE babies though. Just a word of advice. I actually want to end this video by giving a quick shout out to a horror-related FNF mod that just recently released called Step Right Up Adventure Isle. I played it, I got Posture to play it, and we both agreed it's probably the best FNF project to drop, like, ever. Or at least it's up there. I don't want to spoil too much, but if you're a fan of indie horror, you will love this project. Anyway, that's all out of my mouth for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I've been uhyeah, and I'll see you all when I get turned into an Aethos FNF parent.